Alrighty, well, thank you everybody for coming. Like I said, I'm Megan Ramirez. I'm a education abroad coordinator here at WVU. I'm super excited to work with all of you and show you all of the great information that we have put together about ways to fund your education abroad experience. Real quick, I'd like for all of us presenters to kind of introduce ourselves. Amanda, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so I'm Amanda Morgan. I'm a faculty-led program specialist with the Office of Global Affairs and Education Abroad. And it's my role to kind of help the faculty create faculty-led programs, which we'll talk about in a little bit, for the students.
Shannon, do you mind introducing yourself real quick?
So my name is Shannon O'Leary. I am a financial aid counselor in the Student Financial Services Office. And one of my primary duties is working with education abroad and the study abroad students and helping them get financial aid for their trips.
Alrighty, well, I'll jump right on into things. So first, to kind of give you the lay of the land, what is education abroad? Education abroad is simply studying in a place that is different from your home country. So if you're here studying at WVU, education abroad could be studying in Spain, it could be studying in Morocco, any country, any period of time. As long as there's coursework attached to it and you're transferring that back to WVU, that's considered education abroad. And there are tons of different reasons why students should take advantage of education abroad while here at WVU. First and foremost, you get to travel to another country and experience another culture. You get to make new friends, you get to study really unique courses. And if you're studying a language, there's no better place to kind of really hone your language skills than in a country, in a place where that language is spoken by everybody. So there are a ton of really great aspects associated with education abroad, and we'll go over more of that later on. But there are tons of different ways that you can study abroad too. So we have three main types of programs. We have exchange, which takes place for a semester or for a full year. We have faculty-led programs, which we'll talk a bit more about later on. The faculty-led programs are generally a bit shorter. They might take place over winter break, spring break, the summer, or they could take place over the full semester if it's a pretty unique program. We also have affiliate providers, and they will offer programs all throughout the year, and they'll have some pretty unique options that we can go over in a little bit. Okay, so first and foremost, exchange. It's our most popular form of study abroad. It allows students to study for a semester or for a full year. And during this time, you'll be enrolled full-time, so the equivalent of 12 or more WVU credit hours. You'll continue to pay your regular WVU tuition and fees. So if you're an in-state student, this is usually the most cost-effective way for you to study abroad, since you'll continue paying that in-state rate in whichever country you go to. And even though I mentioned education abroad is a fantastic way to learn a different language, that's not a requirement. You don't have to be fluent in Spanish or Portuguese to go study in another country. All of the courses you take with our exchange partners will be offered in English, so you don't need to worry about your language proficiency before you go. We'll work with you beforehand to make sure that the courses you're taking are taught in English. And of course, a key component of education abroad is that education aspect. So you will be enrolling in courses. You'll work with your academic advisor to make sure that they're a good fit for you. And at the end of your program, you'll get a transcript and transfer those courses back to WVU. So depending on the length of your program, with exchange, like I said, it's a semester for a full year. You'll be transferring a semester or year's worth of credits back to WVU. And we have over 70 different exchange partners. Tons of different countries are offered. So if you're looking for a place in Latin America, we offer partners there. If you're looking for countries in Africa, you can also do an exchange program there. So there's a really wide variety of programs that you can do with exchange.
Okay, with faculty-led, it's basically exactly what it sounds like. We have a faculty member that decides that they would like to teach a course or courses over a length of time, whether that's spring break or summer, and then take a group of students with them to teach that course. We generally have over about 75 options. Before COVID, we were sending about 400 students abroad on spring break. We were so excited, and we hope soon to get back up to that number. This is WVU faculty teaching WVU courses, so there is no transfer process. So that makes it really nice. You just sign up for a course like you normally would, and then you just go abroad to learn it. Tuition is waived for the course credit, so it is very economical in the summer, especially for an out-of-state student. You could study abroad for the same number of credits during the summer, and it actually be cheaper than staying on campus. These programs are 1 week to a semester and 1 to 12 credits. It really just depends on how long you're going and what that faculty member would like the course to be. What's really nice is you can develop a professional relationship with professors in your field. So this makes a great way to kind of get those recommendation letters because you really get to know your professor. I mean, you're traveling with them for at least 7 days and possibly up to a month. So you really develop a professional and personal relationship with them. Okay, and then affiliate programs. If you've looked through our extensive catalog and cannot find anything you like, you're not interested in some of the courses our faculty are leading, or you're really not available for an exchange, we have affiliate programs. So these are providers that we have vetted and saying, yes, we accept their credits and things like that. And they have over 700 different programming options. This is short and long term. They do summer, they do winter break. And it's access to universities that maybe we don't have a partnership with. Definite extra on-ground support because these are programs that could be for-profit or nonprofit programming. They also offer in-country orientations and excursions, and all of that's usually wrapped up in their program cost. This provides programming for unique needs and interests that maybe we don't have as an option. But the program costs do vary, and financial aid will talk more about this, but there are some different ways that they can be paid for as well. So how to get started? Basically, start at our website, educationabroad.wvu.edu. You can explore all of our programming options. There are different ways to search. If you know what country you want to go to, you can search by country, search by major. There's just a lot of different options. You can search by spring break, summer, and then you're going to meet with an education abroad coordinator, and you can schedule that right online and set up an appointment to have a one-on-one. We do offer in-person and Zoom calls so that you can fit that into your schedule. Then you're going to want to discuss your plans with an academic advisor, as well as talk with someone from financial aid to make sure you understand how to pay for it, how it's going to fit into your degree works, and then complete our online application. And then you'll work with your coordinator for your program's next steps, because each of our program options have different steps. So it's best to know with your coordinator what you'd like.
So now we're going to talk more about funding your education abroad experience and what the financial aid process of education abroad is going to look like. So this is a neat little reference that we created that is going to be a quick way to look at to see what types of financial aid can be used for what types of programs. So you can see the exchange faculty-led programs can use pretty much any financial aid, including federal grants, scholarships, tuition and fee waivers, state aid, and any type of loan, federal or private. And then affiliate or appeal programs are going to be more limited to just federal grants, scholarships, and private and federal loans. So what is the financial aid process going to look like? For an exchange or faculty-led, you're going to be billed by WVU and make your payments to WVU, which means you're going to be eligible to use any financial aid that you would normally use in a semester on campus. This includes institutional scholarships, state aid, and federal aid. Your coursework will have to be degree pursuant. So if it is faculty-led, we will evaluate it prior to your trip. If you are doing an exchange program, we will be evaluating the credit hours you're bringing back on your transcripts. And exchange trips must also complete education abroad transient credit applications, which can be found on the registrar's website. These need to be completed before the end of your trip. You're usually done with your advisor talking about what courses you're taking abroad and how they'll transfer back. For affiliate and appeal trips, you're going to only be charged by WVU for the education abroad tuition and fees only, which is just a small amount. You must complete the request for transient financial aid and consortium agreement in order to be reviewed for financial aid and to use it. You're eligible for partial aid, so mostly just federal aid and institutional scholarships. And you also must complete an education abroad transient credit application. So we're going to talk about how you can apply and receive aid. So for federal aid, you have to submit a FAFSA every year to be reviewed. And we will review your eligibility for things like the Pell Grant, the federal SEOG, which is another type of grant, and federal loans. If you are a graduate student or if your parent is interested in helping provide for your program, they can apply for a PLUS loan. It does require a separate application in addition to the FAFSA, and you are subjected to a credit check. You can also use some West Virginia state aid for certain programs. You will have to meet qualifications for the different aid programs. These are things like the West Virginia Higher Education Grant or the Promise Scholarship. They all have different types of requirements that maybe will influence if you're eligible or not, and you can explore those grants and the different requirements on our website. We also offer private loans. So private loans can be applied towards any education abroad trip. There are very different lenders and they have different eligibility requirements. So you'll want to explore the options and see what works best for you. And you can do that on the financial aid website under the private loan section using the Elm Select search engine. For institutional aid, these are things like university scholarships. A lot of these you are automatically reviewed for in your first semester at the university. So these are things like transfer scholarships, the Scholarship of Distinction, Go First, and the WVU System Connection Grant. You can also apply for additional scholarships. Some of them do require an application and some will just be reviewed. These are things like departmental scholarships from different colleges or the department that your major is in, the leadership scholarship, the diversity scholarship, and then the study abroad scholarships that you can work with the Aspire office to apply for. And you can find more information about scholarships and the different requirements for them on the financial aid website there. So the Promise Scholarship is a big one. It's a lot of money and everyone's always excited to use it. You are eligible to use the Promise Scholarship for faculty-led and exchange programs during the fall and spring semesters. If you're interested in using it in summer, you'll have to apply for the Summer Promise Scholarship or defer one of your fall or spring semesters for it. Promise is not going to be eligible to be used for affiliate or appeal programs, regardless of when they're taking place. And if you are doing an affiliate or an appeal program in fall or spring, you must complete a request to defer your Promise Scholarship through the West Virginia Higher Education Policy Commission. If you do not complete this request to defer, your eligibility for future semesters could be impacted. And you can see more information about scholarships and the scholarship exception request forms to defer on the financial aid website at that link. You can also use payment plans to help fund your education abroad experience. So it's eligible for payment. The programs eligible for payment plans include the exchange programs and faculty-led programs. These are available for fall, spring, and summer. There are different deadlines for different payment plans, but usually the earlier you sign up, the more time you'll have to spread out your payments, and so the lesser your payments will be. We offer up to 6-month payment plans, and you can visit the Student Accounts website for more information on how to sign up and what the up-to-date deadlines are for the programs coming up. We also have other methods of payment that you can use towards your education abroad experience. These are going to be limited to exchange and faculty-led programs as you're being charged by WVU. You can use an e-check or credit and debit card. You can use these methods by visiting the big yellow button on your WVU portal page that says pay your bill here. You can also have checks, money orders, and certified bank checks mailed to the WVU hub. And you can learn more about payment options on the Student Accounts website. So after the trip, you will have to submit transcripts for the exchange and the affiliate appeal trips within 45 days of returning. For a full semester exchange program, you must bring back at least 12 equivalent hours, and the hours also must be degree pursuant. So once we get your transcripts in, we will evaluate them. If you are not meeting that 12-hour requirement, your aid may be returned or canceled if you don't meet all the aid requirements. Failure to submit your transcripts within the 45-day timeframe may result in a financial aid hold being placed on your account, which will prevent future disbursements of aid. We understand that 45 days isn't always a feasible option for some students, so we work with them on a case-by-case basis if they're having issues getting their transcripts in on time. Some additional resources that we have, the WVU Financial Aid and Education Abroad website is listed there. The request for transient financial aid and consortium agreement, which is needed for the affiliate and appeal trips, is located on the financial aid website under forms. The education abroad transient credit application is found on the registrar's website under transfer and study abroad. And then more information on what degree pursuant means and course program of study is found on the financial aid website under CPOS. So if you have any questions about financial aid that maybe we can't get to today, or as your trip gets closer and you have more information, you want to talk to one of us, you can submit an online ticket or request a virtual or in-person appointment at hub.wvu.edu/contact. You can also reach us by phone at 304-293-1988. And one of our student services associates will be happy to talk to you about your experience.
All right, now I'm going to hand this over to Kate Johnson from the Aspire office. See, Kate, are you able to share your screen? Do you have all those controls?
Okay, so unlike Shannon, who was so prepared with a slideshow, I am just going to go through our website to help students understand the different funding options that we can help with. So I'm Kate Johnson. I'm the Assistant Director of the Aspire office. The Aspire office, primarily what we do is help students who are applying for nationally competitive scholarships. When you go to our website, aspire.wvu.edu, you can see a list of the awards that we work with here. Now, we also do a few other things, but I'm going to stick to just what we do in terms of study abroad scholarships today. So you can see this big list of scholarships. You can take some time and look through them, but I'm going to highlight just 3 of them today because there's 3 of them in particular that are for study abroad. So the first one that's the most open in some ways is the Gilman Scholarship. And I'll just go ahead and go to the Gilman Scholarship website while we're chatting so you can see how to navigate there and see what the website looks like. The Gilman Scholarship can be used for any study abroad program as long as it's getting credit. And that's pretty much it. That's the requirement. If you're getting at least 1 credit for a study abroad program, you can apply for the Gilman. However, only students who receive a Pell Grant are eligible to apply for the Gilman. So in terms of what it can be used for, it's very, very open. But in terms of who can apply for it, it is limited to only students who get a Pell Grant. If you don't know if you get a Pell Grant, you can usually see on your student accounts, or you can contact financial aid to confirm. But this is what you would get when you fill out FAFSA. If your family's income falls below a certain level, you would get a Pell Grant. So if you get a Pell Grant, we highly, highly recommend that you apply for this scholarship. And I know the Office of Global Affairs and Education Abroad also highly recommend that you do, because it's a fairly accessible scholarship. Every year we have between 5 and 10 students, sometimes even more, who win in a given year for study abroad. Typically, students can win up to $5,000. You can actually win up to $8,000 if you're also studying a critical need language on the program, but typically $5,000 is the max. There's 2 application cycles, one in the fall, that one is in October, and one in the spring in March. Now, to determine which one you want to apply for, you would want to look at when you're wanting to go abroad. But the trick is you can always apply this in the application cycle even before the one that's meant for you to apply for directly before you go abroad, if that makes sense, because then that would give you 2 options. So let's say you're going abroad in summer. You could apply, or you're hoping to go abroad in the summer. You could apply in the October cycle prior to going, the fall prior to that summer. And if you don't win, that would give you another opportunity to apply in March. So it gives you 2 chances. So you want to try to apply as early as possible so you have more chances for this application. This application is not too arduous. There's a few essays. Primarily, the goal of the essays is to convince the reader of why you need to study abroad, why you've chosen this program, what it's going to do for you personally and professionally. And typically these are answers that the students have because they're excited to go on this program and they have their reasons already in place. And then the Aspire office can help you with those drafts. We'll go over round and round and round of essays with you until you feel ready to submit. We can also request your transcript for you for free. Now, another good thing about the Gilman Scholarship is it does not require letters of recommendation. So you can apply just by working with our office and working on these essays and submitting it all on your own. There's also a few special Gilman ones for children of veterans or current active military members. And so if you do fall into one of those categories, you would want to apply for one of those special considerations with the Gilman Scholarship. Okay, so another one I'm going to chat about next is the Boren Scholarship. This one is for long-term study abroad for critical need languages. So this one can only be used if you're going to be doing a program, typically 6 months or longer. Sometimes they will approve shorter programs, but you have a much higher chance of winning to do 6 months or longer. There's a couple exceptions to that, and I'll try to circle back to that. But you need to be studying a critical need language. Those critical need languages are things that are not your typical Western European languages that are taught often in the US. So you can't apply for it for like Spanish or Italian or German, but you can apply for it for Russian, Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Hindi, Swahili, Punjabi, Azerbaijani, a ton of other languages. Some of those are offered at WVU and some of them are not. It's okay to apply for a language that's not offered at WVU. We have people apply for things like Swahili and Punjabi and Hindi and Indonesian and Turkish. So you do not have to have experience in that language before you apply. With Boren, you can win up to $25,000, which is pretty amazing. You could use that money to do an exchange program, like Megan and Amanda were explaining, an exchange program that we have with another university, or you could use it, most students will use it to do like a third-party affiliate program. They'll find a program in the country that speaks the language they're interested in, and find a program that's 6 months or longer and $25,000 or less typically, and apply for it with that. Now, a trick with the Boren Scholarship, and I'll also navigate to their website, is if you have to have an interest in working for the federal government, because in exchange for winning the Boren, this $25,000 award, which is amazing, you do have to work for the federal government for at least 1 year, sometime within, roughly speaking, 3 years after graduation. I know they give a lot of extensions for that, but you do have to, at some point in your early career, work for the federal government. And broadly speaking, in the field of national security. And I say broadly because that doesn't mean you have to go be a spy for the CIA, which a lot of people think when they hear that they have to work in the field of national security. But you can work for FEMA, the State Department, USAID, even Peace Corps stints can count for it. When they say national security, it can include economic development, climate change, food security, global public health, all kinds of different fields. So we even have like pre-med students who will apply for a Boren. So if you win this one, you apply in February, you find out in April if you win, and then you have roughly like a year to use that money and go abroad and do your program. And like I said, if you win, it's super exciting. And then you get that foot in the door with the federal government, because in addition to having to work for the federal government, you get preferential hiring with the federal government. So if that's a career you're considering pursuing, the Boren Scholarship is a great idea for you to pursue. The other one is the Critical Language Scholarship. This one is also for only studying critical languages, but unlike Boren, you don't go out and find the program and then win money to do it. You actually apply for a specific language, and if you win, they set up the whole program for you and send you on the trip in the summer. It's only a summer program, 8 to 10 weeks. Here is a list of the current languages, that you can do. Now, Boren, you don't have to have any background in the language before you apply, but with Critical Language Scholarship, some of these languages do require a background, and they are the languages that are actually offered here at WVU. So Arabic, Chinese, and Russian, you do have to have a background in, but those, like I said, are offered here at WVU. This scholarship is not tied to federal employment or a specific interest in national security. You can have plans to use this language in whatever career you're doing Public, private sector, doesn't matter as long as you have an explanation for why you need to study this language. So you can go to this website here to see the process for how to apply for the critical language scholarship. That deadline is in November every year, and students will then go abroad the following summer. You can take some time, I hope, at some point to look through our website, see the other scholarships we work with. There's definitely others that fund overseas experiences, but most of those are going to be for experiences after you graduate. For example, the Fulbright, I'm not going to talk about that today, but if you are interested in a longer term international experience, the Fulbright might be a good fit for you. And before I end, I just want to call your attention to this other tab here called Additional Opportunities. And on here, we have compiled lists of other opportunities to apply for things like summer fellowships and internships. Some of these are also programs to go abroad. Like I'll just bring your attention quickly to the DAAD, the German Academic Exchange. We actually just had a winner for this this year. So some of these are also opportunities to go abroad that our office works with. Okay, I think that's it. And if you want to get in touch with us, all of our contact information is on the website, and we would be happy to set up a meeting via Zoom and chat with you.
Great. Thank you so much, Kate. And thank you, Shannon, for also sharing financial aid's information as well. This kind of concludes our presentation.